Hi, welcome to Finding the Best Schools for International Students. I'm Raina Goebel. I write international stories for U.S. News, but I also write about student loans for your American friends on wisebread.com's New Graduate Center, which is wisebread.com/newgrads. The main thing that we're going to focus on today is communication, because how the school communicates with you and how you communicate right back to them is going to be a large part of why you picked the school. And we're going to explain that as we go. I'm also, in the theme of communication, going to stop the presentation as you have questions. I want to go through the slides real quick. It'll take me about 5 minutes, and then I'm going to turn the floor over to you. So this is what we're going to talk about. Services offered by the school, majors and teaching style, community colleges, a underused way to get a better deal on an American education for those first 2 years, and will help you a lot with paying for college and, of course, financial aid. Now, do make sure that you both contact Education USA and watch their presentation, because they have great information for you when it comes to paying for college, and really a lot about all the colleges. So let's talk about some of the services that schools offer. The Office of International Students. I know it may be expensive, but you're going to spend a lot of money to study here. So you really do need to call the school. Ask them questions. Make sure you have a good rapport. Make sure that you would feel comfortable asking them any questions you have, whether it's about housing, what classes are like, what their campus is like. Will there be other people from your home country? What do you need to know as far as language skills? They should be a contact point whenever you need help when you're actually studying there. Do they have additional classes for international students? For instance, if you need to work on your English a little bit. A lot of community colleges offer that really nice buffer between going to a 4-year school and that time period where you can get adjusted and take some courses that are geared towards international students that go a bit slower so that you can pick up the language before you take your junior and senior year. Do they offer tutoring help for you? All these support options are really important. It's important to American students too that there is tutoring on campus. So you just really want to make sure that there are people that are both helpful and that you feel comfortable talking to. Housing options. Do you want to live on campus? Would you rather live with a host family for the first couple of years? What additional services do they offer you? It may even be clubs where you get to go out with other international students and just have some social activity where it's comfortable as you're trying to assimilate into this country or just find your way through. I can't emphasize enough the importance of communication, and especially when you may not have a visit to the university before you attend, you do want to call your professors that are teaching the first year classes, and email them as well. You want to make sure you have a good rapport, that you understand them, that you understand what your classes are going to be like. It's not just important to choose a good school. Good schools, I talk about this a lot in my other lectures for US students, is that a lot of times when you think of a good school, you think, how are they ranked? How are they viewed by my home country? Well, this is important. It's very important that you're specific about how do they rank and how am I going to feel at the school? Am I going to enjoy the classes? And in my particular field, are they important for the places that I want to work at? You should also talk to the human resources departments in the places where you'd like to work, or at least that hire people doing the jobs that you want, because then you can see, okay, this really will be important or this won't be important. Maybe I should pick a different school. Make sure you ask those human resources departments which schools their employees are coming from. And do virtual tours, but avoid focusing on the student union. I spent maybe 2 hours in my entire MBA at the student union. You really want to know that the classes are what you want, that you're going to have fun, but get the education you need to further your life. Community colleges, one of my favorite topics. And I do have a link to my international stories at the end of this, so you can read my community colleges article. And there are specific schools that I talk to that do have great international programs, but it's cheaper tuition, sometimes a fraction, 10, 20% of what you might pay, especially at a private school. And it's a great entry point into the US. And basically what a community college is a college that generally just offers first and second year courses, but you can transfer those courses to a four-year university. And when you do, a lot of these community colleges have agreements with universities that their credits will transfer and that they will accept them. You can also see how many of their students are getting accepted at the schools you want. UC Berkeley has specific agreements with some community colleges, and it may actually up your chances of getting into some of these schools that you really want to be at. And what services they offer. Some do actually offer on-campus housing. You can read my article on that as well. And others have the host family situation or apartments off campus. You just want to make sure that they're really going to help you. I think this is important for everybody. When I was choosing a school, when I returned to school at 25, 26, I asked them 3 questions. I asked 3 state schools and I said, what internship programs do you have? How are you going to help me find a job? And why should I go to your school? And they told me about the Pulitzer Prize winners. As a journalist, that's a major award. And I just love the school I picked, and it was because they could communicate with me. So don't underestimate that. You want a school where the staff is going to be there for you, your professors, everything. If it's not friendly, you're not going to like it. I wouldn't have liked my school if it wasn't. Financial aid, the money stuff. Always start by talking to Education USA as well as friends who study in the US. Can't get federal student loans, but some schools do offer scholarships, more so for graduate school. You want to plan as far ahead as possible as far as your family's savings. Look for schools with work opportunities, which is also one of the articles in the last resource link. You just really want to ask as many questions as possible. I would suggest you get a list of 10 questions together at least for when you talk to these schools. Yes, it's expensive to call overseas, so make sure that you get the information that you need. Okay, so this are the resources that I recommend. Do go to your Education USA office. It is local. They can help you. They can get you information on the schools. But if you come away with one thing today, it's education, communication. Make sure that you are communicating with that school and you find out the information you need. You don't want to spend $20,000, $30,000 a year and really just not have a good experience, and maybe not even an experience that's going to help you get a job when you get back. So thank you. And if you need to contact me, at Reyna Gobel on Twitter. So @ ReynaGobel. Or if you go to my website, wisebread.com/newgrads, which is wisebread is WISEBread.com/newgrads. There are contact me buttons, including for my Twitter. Okay, so let's get to those questions. Okay, I'm going to tackle this last question first. Lena, and hi Lena, I have a grandma with that name. Do you have a list of well-ranked schools with important scholarships for international students? I don't want you to even think about what schools are well-ranked. I want you to call the Human Resources Departments for the schools that you're that hire people in the job that you're interested in working in, because it doesn't matter what's well ranked in general. It may not even have the major that you want. So once you find out what schools they graduated from, then you can call those schools and talk to them about scholarships, as well as talk to Education USA. They know this information. They should be your main contact point. And I'll tweet about Education USA too later. And see what else we got. And I will apologize ahead of time in case I mispronounce the name, but hi, Manohar. What kind of opportunities or job opportunities can we get on campus? It varies school to school. It could be working in the administration office. It could be research. There's a lot of things. That's why you really want to talk to the schools and see what kind of experience you're going to get. So thank you so much for that question. Okay, and Tram, hi Tram, wants to know what are your thoughts about studying in international environment school but in your native country, between studying abroad? I think the main thing is that I want to reiterate is that you really want to think about your own game plan. How is this going to help you get the job you want? And that comes from talking to the human resources departments. They'll tell you if it's a good idea in combination with Education USA. And give me just a second because I have a very long list of questions from Mile. Okay, the first question is he wants to know if private schools or state universities are better as far as getting funds. It depends on the school. There are schools that I interviewed in my articles that are very well known to international students. You can certainly talk to them. I would say that would be your best start, but Education USA knows who's giving out scholarships and can be a great resource to you, and then you can do your own work. And then the next thing about urban versus rural location. Okay. Are urban or rural schools cheaper? That really depends. I think that this is where the school research comes out. Because what if the rural school has higher tuition? You just really want to look at each individual school. Yes, sometimes rural schools are cheaper when it comes to housing, but what I want you to do is I want you to talk to the human resources departments that are hiring for what you want to do, because they will tell you what schools you need to be looking at. And then also talk to Education USA. And as far as choosing a big school or a large school or a small school, it doesn't matter. It matters who's going to hire you afterwards and what they are looking for. And you can talk to a few places. I would recommend that because you may not want to work for that particular place, but you do want to get a good feel for what schools will help you get hired. And Education USA can help you with information too. And as far as what project schools are interested in, you really need to do your own research on that. Primarily starting with where you would like to get hired. And they will answer those questions. You'd be amazed at what they tell students. Okay. So now let me go up to, actually, let's try this one. Okay, Katrina has some very good questions that I'm really happy to see. So hi, Katrina. That I think will help some of you guys. She didn't attend a prominent prep school for studying in the US. That's okay. You just want to talk to Education USA to see what you need to study in the US. That's what they help you with. As far as having an idea of how you're going to pay for it before studying, yes, you will be required to show proof that you can pay to live here because they want to make sure that you have a way home um, before you go, and they don't want you to be stuck and feel and not have money for food. So it is really important. You've got to figure that out ahead of time. Okay, and Ibrahim wants to know the best school for studying pre-med. It depends on where you want to work. What schools are important in your country for medicine? And you can see where people went for pre-med and where they went for med school. So that's where I would start. And Manohar asked if living expenses decrease with shared housing. Yeah, of course. There are options with 2 or more people. It could be a 3-bedroom apartment. And it could be on campus that they're doing that, or off campus ran by the university. And Manohar, it's not a liberal arts education. It's so better than that of public universities. Public or private, it really doesn't matter. I went to a public school and I'm here helping you guys today, and I'm considered a national expert on student loans, so it really doesn't matter. What matters is your experience, what you're going to get out of it, and what the employers in your field want. And I want to make sure I get to some of Lena's questions. And actually, Lilani. Let's see what Lilani's questions are. Okay, and she would like me to recommend a school for her, especially to see if she's eligible for the MBA. It varies school to school. If I have an MBA, what would be required for UNT in prerequisites is different than what would be required at Harvard. Everything varies. You want to talk to both the schools and, you guessed it, Education USA, who should be your main contact point in your country. And Bendelino wants to know how to access scholarships and a school that provides scholarships. Talk to Education USA. They know these things. And how long it takes to receive a response, again, it varies so much. I don't know offhand, Lena, who has an agreement with Cornell. The best thing to do is to talk to Cornell's admissions office, and they'll be able to tell you. Send them an email or a call. And see if we have more questions. Oh, I love this question, Tram. You're so wonderful for asking this. Your family in Vietnam worries about your safety in the U.S. As honestly, kids here have the same thing. Their parents have loved them and protected them for 18 years, and they don't want to let go. But what's really nice is the host family programs, and you want to look for a school that has that. What I would recommend is you, first of all, have a great conversation with your parents. If they really want to send you to school in the US, but they're worried about safety, I would do 2 things. Talk to the International Students Office. Let your parents talk to these offices. Make this a team effort. And also, spend the time to find out about host families. What a host family is, it's a family in the US that will take you in. You're not just going to be straight on your own in the US. That can be kind of scary. But if you're living with a host family, there's another family that's going to kind of be guiding you, and it's a nice transition. So if you find a school with that option, which there are plenty of them, I might even suggest starting off at a community college. It'll save you money too, so that you can have more of that experience. But you can certainly check with colleges as well about host family agreements, and just really do your research so you have a lot to share with your parents. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click through the slides in case you didn't see them earlier, just to make sure that you can go back and look at some of the things I recommend. And if I don't have other questions, we'll close it in 2 minutes after I do that. So 1 second, and let's go through those slides. So remember what we talked about. Remember the importance of communication. And the resources, read the articles, talk to Education USA. There are people that will help you. You're not doing this alone. You're not the first person to study in the US. If you have friends that have, ask them questions. It's a team effort. It's a team effort with your parents too. So I will count to 10. And if I don't have further questions, then I will give you my Twitter address once again if you have questions you'd like to ask me afterwards. And then we'll close out the presentation. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Thank you so much for joining me. If you have questions after the presentation, excuse me, I do have another question. Hi, Tram, and Tram wants, Tram again, so hi again, Tram. How to fit in with a new environment in the USA if you're not good at communication. That's where you want to pick a school that can really help you with English. And I think that's why a community college might be really great for you, because especially one that has a lot of English courses. And the idea of a host family and a great office, that will help you, but make sure that you know how to communicate with the international students office, because that's going to be your contact point for whenever you have problems and you want to make sure they can help you. So just make sure those services are there. Okay, so I'm going to count to 10 one more time, and if I don't have other questions, I will give you my Twitter one more time, and we'll close this out. Oh, Tram has another question. Tram just wanted to thank me. Well, thank you, Tram, for joining me today. Okay, we have 2 more. Hi, Daisy. Well, guess what? This presentation is available afterwards, so you can view it as much or as often as you like. So don't worry about being late to the presentation. And I'm still going to be here for a couple more minutes if you have questions. And the man wants to know why that there is so much a difference between in-state and out-of-state fees. Sure. Now, number one, in-state, out-of-state tuition doesn't affect you because you're an international student. The reason why there is a difference in fees is because how the United States works is each individual state funds to educate their own residents. So they're not going to subsidize, Florida is not going to subsidize as much kids from Georgia. So that's why there's such a difference, and it affects you guys too for out of state. But that's the reason why, is because the people in the state pay the taxes to send their kids to school. And so that looks like my last question for now. So again, count of 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 more seconds if you want to ask me a question, and I'll stay a little bit longer. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Thank you, everyone, for joining me today. And feel free to, it looks like we have one more question. Kahneman wants to know about financial aid opportunities in colleges. Basically, it's school by school. Feel free to read any of my articles for international students. That's why the resources page is the one that's still up. It's going to vary school to school. The main thing for international students are job opportunities, but talk to Education USA. They do know about jobs for international students and when there are scholarships available. So do that, do your research, and contact the schools that graduated the people that are now working in your country in the career field that you'd like to be in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me. My Twitter address is at Reyna, Reyna, Gobel, Gobel, and I'm happy to answer your questions anytime. So have a wonderful day, and thanks so much for joining me. Goodbye.